Hey everyone, welcome back to another stream of Crimson Gray, the ultimate visual novel experience. I'm just kidding, I don't know. Is it the ultimate visual novel experience? I think it's like, I think that's Doki Doki Literature Club, because that game is pretty intense, man. But yeah, so if you guys haven't seen where we left off last time, I recommend watching the previous streamed video, or whatever. But yeah, wow, looks like we have a lot of people in here today, so this is pretty interesting. Yeah, liquids. That's fun. No, it's not really. I wonder how long this game is, because this is... Last stream, I think I streamed it for like 2 hours or something. I don't know. Hopefully this stream is a little longer and we get through almost half of it. So let's see where this goes. Let's see. Sunday was a miserable slog through every second. John gave up on accomplishing anything whatsoever and just lay in bed feeling worse about himself. If the music is too loud, please, by all means, please do say so. Hi, Angel. Thanks for saying hi. He fell asleep early and woke up in the early morning, not feeling better. That was impossible after a day wallowing in himself, but suddenly his energy was back. And he needed it, because he hadn't accomplished anything he needed to do over the weekend. Huh, hashtag that's me. He set to working furiously on Monday's homework. By the time he needed to go to school, his eyes were gritty and his good mood was gone, but he was ready, high functioning. John sighed and headed to school. He hadn't gotten very far before. Without warning, Lizzie was walking beside him. Oh, then here she comes. Good morning, John. Morning. Are you all right, Lizzie? I spent yesterday thinking. I've come to some conclusions. So, what did you conclude? For such a long time, the most I could imagine was being near you, talking to you, but now I see that's not enough. Oh, You have to be protected. I have to do it. Lizzie. What they said to you, it made me so angry. I wanted to kill them. Then you'll be safe. Wait, you didn't. No, I didn't. Because you have to be protected from me too. Oh, that's something new. I never heard of that before. What? Since I took the medicine, I see things differently. I don't like it, but I understand better now. I don't want you to be afraid of me, John. I'll protect you, no matter what. She seemed sad, but so sincere. What was he supposed to say to something like that? You don't need to say anything. Don't worry. Please don't worry. I'll protect you. That's all I can do. I had a really good time on Saturday. I mean it. I'm glad to see you happy too. John is so kind. Too kind. I'll see you later. She rushed away too quickly, leaving John completely uncertain to what to think. In some way, she seemed more stable, yet that wasn't a complete comfort. Lizzie was still carrying her knife. Oh shit, who carries a knife with her? Well, I guess since she's Yandere, I guess that makes sense. On Tuesday, John and Lizzie ate lunch together as if everything was normal, and in some bizarre way, it really was. Perhaps due to the medication, she seemed so much more stable than before. She was sweet and kind at all times, always considerate and affectionate. Yet there was the occasional moment when he saw a hint of something feral in her eyes. He worried about what she would be capable of if she thought it was necessary. But all in all, John was happier than he had been in a long time. His classmates even stopped messing with him about Lizzie, though he wasn't sure if that was because she seemed normal or because they were afraid of her. Yet he wasn't, not really. He had a hard time believing that anyone could really love him, yet it seemed that Lizzie truly did. If anything, he worried that he could never love her back that intensely. He had an appointment scheduled with Miss Smith on Wednesday, yet for once when he walked into her office, he didn't feel like he desperately needed it. Well, that's good for once. Ready for your session today, John? I'm gonna give her a British accent because, you know, I did it last time, so. Actually, I'm feeling really good. Maybe we should skip 2 days. You should know better than that. If you stop the treatment that's making you feel better, you might have another relapse. No, you're right. Sorry. Don't be sorry, just lie down and take a load off. So, how have you been lately? Well, I'm okay, I guess. That's better than most weeks, so it looks like you're making progress. By the way, I've seen you pass with a girl. Are you two dating? Okay, so let's see. Yes, we're dating, maybe something like that. No, we're just friends. No, she's sorts of stalking me. It's complicated. that pretty much sums up everything. It's complicated. Let's see. No, we're just friends. Maybe something like that. I don't think I confessed to her in the previous episode. Yeah, bro, I noticed you. So it's okay. You don't have to keep saying that. I notice everyone, so. No, we're just friends. No, she's sort of stalking me. I'm probably gonna, I wonder if she's gonna call the police on her if I put no, she's sort of stalking me. I'm gonna try that because that sounds pretty interesting. You're speaking casually, right? Stalking is an actual crime. You know, you should report that. No, nothing like that. Good. I assumed as much, since it looked more than that to me. And along those lines, I have to ask, have the two of you been intimate? What? How can you ask that? I'm not teasing you. This is a very serious question. You better not be leading up to giving me a lecture about safe sex or abstinence or anything. So, should I take that as a no? Yes, I mean, no, we haven't done anything like that. It's good to hear that you're at least expressing interest. Koitek got back to me about Euros. How the hell do you say that? Erosbomb? And it's still decades from viability, so we don't have a solid option for libido issues. Can we talk about something else? Anything else? Sorry to make you uncomfortable, John, but I do need to be concerned about your welfare in all respects. To that end, I need to ask one more question. Has a girl ever displayed any strange behavior, erratic tendencies? Yeah, seriously, what kind of question is that? How would she know? Is she, like, secretly associated with her or something like that? What kind of behavior? No, yes. What kind of question is that? Yep. Don't get offended. I'm just trying to be concerned for your welfare. You've never asked questions like that about any of my other friends. I'm not being rude, John. This is important. You see, I looked up to that girl's records, and to my surprise, I actually know her mother. Mother? You knew Lizzie's mother? Yes. Abby Doss took part in one of our early clinical trials. She was one of the women who had to be removed from the study when we learned that they had lied about being pregnant at the time. Aw, I know where this is going. Plus, I thought she displayed addictive tendencies. I understood she began abusing prescription painkillers later in life too. The poor girl probably had a hard childhood. So anyway, I just hope that the girl turned out alright. Any drugs taken while someone is on utero... What is that? Utero can have permanent long-term impacts. So I'm glad the girl turned out normal. Moving on, you seem so much better. I assume the issue of emotional grayness took care of itself? Yeah, of course. Miss Smith seemed so positive. He couldn't bring himself to tell her the truth, because despite the general improvement in his life, that aspect of it had not. Lizzie was a single spot of color in this world, but the rest was even grayer than before. The rest of their session passed in gray blur. When it was over, John was in a strange mood. He felt a little better, but not too much. Usually after a therapy session, he floated in an empty tranquility, but now his mind was racing. He impatiently sat through this next class, but his mind was on what Miss Smith had said about Lizzie's mother. Could that be part of the reason of her instability? When he had a free period, John headed straight to the library and tried to look up past incidents. It was hard to find information on Koitek's old trials, but when he eventually gave in and looked at the microfilm, he actually found some relevant articles. He knew that Lizzie had been born in 1972, so he was able to skim back to around the time she had been born. He actually found the birth announcement in the local paper easily, but for the rest, he was left searching aimlessly through shitty local articles. And then, all at once, it was easy. There was a series of articles that took his research from a boring whim to something that had him on the edge of his seat. Apparently, before it was called Koitek, the company had been called Pharmavax? I think it was Pharmavax. Pretty sure it's Pharmavax. They rebranded after a series of drug recalls and had ruined their reputation. John sat back, unable to read any further. Was that really the explanation? It felt so cheap. It was easy to presume that Lizzie's mother had been involved in one of the recalled Pharmavax trials, and her unborn child must have suffered the consequences. Could that really have unbalanced Lizzie this way? If so, that meant that this was no phase she was going through. If her early development had been altered, she's probably this way for life. Yet the second emotion he felt was anger. Anger that Miss Smith or anyone else could think Lizzie was just some freak chemical accident. It was too much like scorn that had been heaped on him for his depression. Whatever her problems, Lizzie was a person who deserved respect. Help, but respect before anything else. Depression quickly followed on the heels of his anger. Unable to deal with any more of those thoughts, John just walked out without even replacing the microfilm. He drifted through the rest of the day, still stewing over what he'd learned. At times, he could at least convince himself that this was a good thing. If drugs had unbalanced Lizzie, maybe they could balance her again. He could almost imagine them together, helping each other, maybe even getting married. When she passed him in the hallway, her eyes lit up, not a mere elation, but with a burning intensity. And in that moment, John was sure that Lizzie couldn't be cured. The question was, did he want her to be? Oh snap, this is a question of morality right here. Several days later, as they were leaving after school, Lizzie caught up to him, an odd look on her face. John, I'm so happy. Really? I spent so long just watching you, imagining that what it would be like to say hello, to hear you say my name, for you to look at me. That we can actually talk like this. It's like a dream. A wonderful dream I never want to end. I'm happy I met you too, Lizzie. This past week has been fun. Say, how is Nahalzine working out for you? No unpleasant side effects? It's wonderful. Thank you so much for giving it to me. Well, I hope we can find you some more once this dose runs out. Some drugs you can renew week to week, but I don't know about this one. It could be a pain. Oh no, I wouldn't want you to go to any trouble for me. But it's helping, right? I want you to be able to have more if you want. If you want it. That's so sweet, but it's not necessary. It helped me understand our relationship clearly. I don't need it anymore. Huh, you sure about that? But John, we've been dating since you accepted my confession. Oh, so we were dating. Okay, I kind of forgot since last stream, so... But we've only done normal things. I love being with you every single moment, but can we do something more romantic? They might as well. People already thought of them as dating, and she seemed so sweet for so long. What was the worst that could happen? Please? We have a lot of options, considering that we all have next week off. But we don't have to wait that long. How about we plan something for Friday night? I don't have a car to pick you up, but I can take you to a nice restaurant. Ah, yes. Good. Then it's a plan. Friday. She would still have a day or two of medication left on Friday. John figured she would stay stable. Maybe the date would leave her happy enough that she'd change her mind about staying on her meds. No matter what mistakes her mother made, maybe Lizzie could be stable with the right treatment. John really thought this could work out between them. Dab. Wow, John, this place is so nice. As a nice place... Okay, hold up. Let me adjust my chair real quick. As a nice place as they'll let high school kids in with only a few days of reservation anyway. When I asked for a romantic place, I never dreamed it would be this romantic. I'm not dressed up enough for this. This is the kind of place you take someone on to propose. Just so it's clear, I'm not going to propose. I know that, silly. I'm just really happy it's so romantic. John could only hope that this place would be nice. All he knew about it was that his parents said it was nice back when they were together. They entered and Lizzie was delighted by everything. The decor, the menu, the lighting, the food. Or maybe she was really just delighted with one thing. The event itself. Fortunately, the staff seemed to find her adorable instead of disturbing, so John found himself relaxing. Even when they were just chatting idly, Lizzie was nice to be around. Midway through the meal, he realized that Lizzie was resting her hand on the table. She wasn't necessarily inviting it, but if he stretched, he thought he could put his hand on top of hers. Take her hand or keep talking. Yeah, regarding the Yandere stories, I'm currently writing a script for it, so you're gonna be... this week I actually have something. Next week is more than likely to come up with a video, so hopefully stuff turns out well for that. I don't know, it's really hard writing scripts, so just bear with me, guys. Clorox Bleach says make the move. So should I take her hand? Everyone's like, take your hand, god damn it. Okay, jeez. I'll take her hand then. Lizzie's eyes went wide when he touched her, for a moment just staring as if she couldn't believe it. But after a moment, she gave him a brilliant smile and laced her fingers through his. Okay, he hadn't meant to do that, but John decided he could just awkwardly hold her hand while they ate. That certainly seemed to be Lizzie's intention. She actually wasn't getting a lot eaten, since she didn't talk with her mouth full and listen rapidly whenever he talked. But at least she seemed to be having fun. After a while, Lizzie patted her mouth with her napkin and sighed in satisfaction. She didn't let go of his hand though. That was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Yeah, it's all really good. Not the food, the date. Oh, but I've made you talk so much you haven't gotten to eat very much. That's okay, No, I'll be quiet and watch you while you eat. So, Lizzie, how about you tell me where you live? Oh, isn't too special, just a house. It's always suspicious when they say it's just a house. Do you live with someone? I know not your parents, but with some relatives? No, it's just me. Abby inherited the house, I think, and she didn't manage to sell it off when things got bad. Abby? My mother. She was an awful woman. I don't want to talk about her. It's a nice enough house, I suppose. Abby wrecked a lot of it, but I've been able to repair it with money from James. Your father? I guess, but he never cared enough to meet me. Abby always complained about him, and the checks don't always come. But I don't want to talk about that. It's all horrible, isn't it? People who can't even pretend to be in love just to tear into each other. That's not what I want. Not at all. When I fell in love with you, I knew it would last forever. Wouldn't it be nice for us to get a house together? Maybe even build one? Oh, so many choices. I can't decide. But I want it to be something we choose together, not something we inherit. Someplace we want to live together forever. Maybe a big house? Big enough that it could have lots of nice windows, but also rooms inside where no one can see us. And maybe a fountain? Lizzie giggled and squirmed in her seat, as if she couldn't contain herself, her fingers in her grip so tightly that it almost hurt. But now I'm just saying things. None of these things really matter. The only thing in our house I'll care is about you. It was the longest he had yet gotten her to talk about herself or her goals. And while it was still pretty focused on him, he didn't mind hearing the details. That's a very nice image, Lizzie. Aw, I'm glad you think so. And you finished your food. This has been wonderful. But can we go now? Can we? Only slightly worrying about what she was thinking, John paid the bill, trying not to wince. And then they left the restaurant. They got onto the bus, and Lizzie never let go of his hand the entire time. He began to wonder when she was going to actually let go, and that was when she leaned her head against his shoulder. This feels so nice. Yes, it does. Really? You enjoyed tonight? I did. It's not often that I hear you talk about things you want, other than, me. It felt ridiculous to say that, like some kind of boast. And a second later he realized that it might just be what? I can't read right now. Exacerbating her problem, or at least making light of it. I don't know, I'm just gonna forget that. But Lizzie just considered his words thoughtfully, then gave a slow nod. I've always wanted to know everything about you, John. I'm glad you want to know about me. John, would you like me less if I stopped taking the medicine? Shit. What was he supposed to say to that? John desperately racked his brain for a good answer. I like you, Lizzie. I like the person you really are. Is the person you are now the person you really are? What do you mean? I mean, when I get depressed, I don't feel like myself. Medicine might change me, but it's just to change me back to normal. But it's not who you naturally are. Does that matter? I mean, we get to choose who we are. Otherwise, we're not really people, just animals. So, who are you, Lizzie? You seem like a nice person. Now that I've gotten to know you, is this not who you want to be? Did you feel better before taking the medicine? But you liked me tonight. Tonight was wonderful, but I'm not suggesting I didn't like you before. Silly John. Don't worry about it. I love you, no matter what. Now, would you like to see my house? John froze, not sure how to take the question. Then again, Lizzie had already seen his house. Maybe she just wanted to open up. He said he'd like to talk to her about herself. After all, if she was actually offering to let him into her life a little more, it would be stupid of him not to turn it down. Sure, Lizzie. I'd love to see it. Oh, I'm sure you will. Absolutely sure. He'd planned to take her to her stop, just to be gentlemanly. I think this is a typo. I'm pretty sure they meant just to be a gentleman. But now John found himself getting off at the same place. Lizzie eagerly set off from the bus stop, looking back to make sure that he was following. In the end, she led him to a small house. It was a cozy little thing, much warmer and more pleasant than he'd expected. Here it is. Huh. It's cozy. You don't need to flatter my house, silly. All that matters is that we'll be there. She led him inside and showed him around, though it was a very strange and erratic tour. He wondered if this was the first time she'd ever showed someone inside her home. The inside of the house was less cozy than the outside, not because of the house itself, but because of how bare it was. A few rooms locked as though they had been used, but the rest looked like they were out of the catalog. It mimicked a house, but it didn't look like a place where anyone lived. The only thing that didn't match the catalog image was a heavy metal door off a side hallway. Lizzie didn't make the slightest reference to it, or even seem to notice it existed. Oh snap, a heavy metal door, you know what that means. This picture, is it your mother? Oh, that? I forgot I even had that. Lizzie didn't seem to care, but John was curious enough to pick up the frame and look closer. He was surprised to find his hand immediately coated in dust. That had to be years of dust. How could Lizzie have lived here for so long and never even disturbed a picture sitting on the table like that? In any case, he could see where Lizzie got her good looks from, but other than that, she and her mother didn't look very much alike. There was something in Lizzie's eyes and posture that was just lacking in her mother. She was on the beach with some man. Neither of them looked like they were enjoying themselves. Maybe he was imagining things, but he could practically see the growing enmity between them. Absurdly, his mood began to decline. It was just a random relationship from people he didn't know. It had nothing to do with him. Yet the idea of people producing a child from a relationship they obviously cared so little about sent him into a spiral. John, you shouldn't be sad. Our house wouldn't have anything like this in it. Huh? No, I was just... Don't worry. I want to be around you every second of every day forever. But I know that wouldn't work when we grow up. I can get a job. I'm good at lots of things. It'll be a sad being apart, but we can call each other at work and send each other things. And when we get home and see each other again after so long, it will feel so good. Her picture of the future actually sounded nice, lifted a little of the cloud in his head, but he couldn't find a way to put that into words, so he said nothing. Undeterred, Lizzie encouraged him into the living room and pushed him down onto the large couch. It hadn't seemed much used, but it was free from dust and gloriously soft. You stay here, okay? Give me a moment to change out of this. John swallowed and stayed where he was. He didn't have a lot of experience, but he heard his friends talk about their exploits. He thought a lot of it was lies, but was there something to what they said? If Lizzie really came out wearing lingerie or something else crazy, he didn't know what he would do. He honestly didn't. Part of him that had been asleep for so long liked that idea, fantasized about what might happen. Another part of him was incredibly nervous to even consider the idea of being closer to her. He couldn't keep sitting there. His nerves would destroy him. Instead, John got up and began to look around the house more carefully. Oh, that's never a good idea. The dustiest part of the house seemed to have remnants of Lizzie's mother. At least he didn't think Lizzie would be into cheap little glass figurines. Opening one of the rooms, he discovered that it was an unused bedroom. He was about to go in when he spotted another picture frame sitting beside the bed. This one featured Lizzie as a child, sitting on her mother's lap. It struck him so strongly that he immediately went to look at it more carefully, not caring that his hand got even dustier. Lizzie's mother was glowing and obviously proud of her daughter, while Lizzie ignored her entirely. No, not just ignore her. There was a flat emptiness in her eyes, as if they weren't even related. It didn't seem to stop her mother in the picture, but the distance between them was agonizing. Why would anyone keep a picture like that, much less frame it? John stared at it for a while longer, then set it down and left the room. The look Lizzie had been giving her mother, those eyes shouldn't have belonged to a human child. John didn't want to think about it a second longer, so he rushed out of the room as fast as he could. Desperate for something to take his mind off that unpleasant thought, John looked around for anything else. The door next to the bedroom was jammed, but he wrenched it open and stared. The room was filled with pictures of him. Yes, I mean, his yearbook photos, but also lots of pictures of him in class. Pictures she must have taken herself. Oh fuck. There were pictures of him sleeping in his own bed. For a moment he just stood there, trembling. Then John snapped back to his senses. He immediately stepped back and closed the door, trying not to make a sound. He told himself he shouldn't be so surprised. He knew she was obsessed, but it still shook him. He was inside his stalker's house. John? Yes. I just wandered off. I'm coming back. Good. There's something I want to show you. Aw, shit. John? Oh shit. What are you doing with that axe? You don't trust me, John. That makes me so sad. You think I'm going to trust you when you're coming at me with an axe? I tried to be patient. I can't wait any longer. So I need to take matters into my own hands. Hold still, John. Aw, snap. Should I beg? Should I stand firm? Or should I run? Guys, this is up to you guys. What should I pick? I'm pretty sure there's like a delay in stand firm. Run. Someone says run. Beg. Everyone keeps choosing something. There's two people that says begging. I don't know, guys. 2 runs, 2 beg, 3 runs, 3 begs. More begging. I should probably beg. Everyone's saying it's beg. Okay. Yeah, everyone's saying beg. I'm going for begging, guys, because I'm pathetic like that. Lizzie, please, don't do this. Oh, John, I won't hurt you. Don't you know that? Please. Frowning, Lizzie set her axe down on the side of the table as she moved forward. John watched it nervously, but he relaxed a little. That was when he realized that her own hand was holding the real threat. The cloth was over her mouth, his mouth and nose instantly, and though he tried to struggle, he couldn't break her grip, and then the chemical fumes overwhelmed him. John woke to the feeling of something tight on his wrists. At first he thought he must be tangled in the sheets, but then he tried to move his hands. They were stuck. The memories returned in a bitterly cold flood. Lizzie had actually knocked him out by force and brought him, wherever this was. His blurry vision slowly returned and he could make out a rough basement around him. He couldn't see a heavy metal door on. He could just see a heavy metal door at the top of the set of stairs. It looked as though there were shelves and tools around the walls, but he couldn't pay attention to those. Not with Lizzie standing in the front of him, eyes fixed on his face. I'm glad you're awake now. Are you feeling okay? Okay? You've... I didn't want it to have it to be this way, John, but I don't have a choice. You're confused, John. You don't understand how much this matters. I'll help you understand. What are you going to do to me? Don't be afraid, John. Everything's going to be all right. I'm completely empty. There's nothing inside me. There's never been anything inside me. The emptiness craves something. I didn't understand what I needed for years and years. Eventually I realized that I needed a person, a specific person. But I didn't know who. Occasionally there was a flicker of feeling. I'd watch someone for a while, but they were never what I needed. Nothing actually mattered until I met you. But why? Let me finish. For so long I could barely even bear to look at you. The feelings were so intense, and then I couldn't bring myself to talk to you. I was afraid it would all disappear. But the feelings didn't go away. They got stronger. They were made for me, John. You were made for me, John. You need to understand that. But you don't understand because you're confused. That's why I need to keep you here. You think this is going to help? It may be difficult at first, John, but you'll come to understand. I promise you will. After all, I have days and days with you all to myself. Days and days. John recalled that they were going into a full week of vacation. That meant she could keep him here in full 9 days before they had to return to school. That was no accident. She'd coldly planned the entire thing. Maybe she'd been manipulating him since before she even asked for a date. Part of him was terrified. Part of him was furious with her, and another part, his depression saw a twisted mirror of his own feelings. But the worst he had ever done was say unkind things. Not this. Just what did she plan to do to him, anyway? As he looked around the basement, he saw a lot of heavy tools. Some of the hammers and knives looked as if they were being used. John slumped against the ropes binding him to the chair and just wept. He wasn't sure how long the release of emotion continued, but when it was over, John felt as though his mind had been purged. His current situation might be pretty bad, but he still had options. He could figure out something, assuming he figured out what he even wanted to do. The sane thing to do would be to find a way to escape. Contact the police, or maybe it would be safer to convince Lizzie to calm down, take more medication not to hurt him. John, we're going to have ever so much time together. Aren't you excited? He needed to say something, turn the situation around, but it was just so hard to focus. Before I get to know you, I thought this would be the easy part. I thought I understand how people worked. Some things never made sense to me, but others are so simple. Lizzie walked up to one of the walls and began running her fingers over the tools there. She picked up a knife and caressed the edge, partially turned away from him. I thought that once I found you, I could make you mine, and then I would feel whole. But you see, I underestimated how much you would change me. I'm so much happier, and everything is so much more complicated. She walked toward him, wearing a soft, loving expression, but still holding the knife. John froze and held his breath as she walked behind him. I want all of you, John. Even the parts I didn't know existed before. If I hurt you, I would never really have what I want. The knife slid past his face, but only as Lizzie moved to embrace him. She wrapped her arms around his neck and pressed herself against his back, inhaling deeply. I love you so much. I wouldn't be satisfied with just a shell of you. Without warning, she pulled back. The adoration in her expression was gone, replaced with an empty gaze fixated on him. But that makes this so much harder. What are you going to do to me? I don't know. I wish I knew. I took time to think, but it didn't help. Okay guys, we got more options here. We can beg for release, we can reason with her, we can charm her. Which one would be best, guys? I feel like if I beg for a release, she's gonna be like, nope, bitch, please. Charm. People keep saying charm. Everyone keeps saying charm. There's more people saying charm than beg, so. Charm the thick Yandere. Okay, sure. We're gonna charm her. We're gonna see what happens. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully it doesn't lead to any explicit content. So, yeah. Lizzie, weren't we having a good time earlier? Getting closer together? Yes. Yes, it was wonderful. We can go on another date. Just let me out. We can keep going the way we were before. But I need more than that. I need to help you. He didn't want to push too hard, but he thought he got through to her a little. If he kept appealing to her romantic side, maybe he could get out of this. Lizzie paced around the room for a while, muttering under her breath, then suddenly straightened. Throwing aside the knife, it embedded itself in the wall. She went into the closet and after a few seconds of searching, emerged with a chain. Aw, snap. Yes, this will be better. I'm sorry, John. I should have thought of this earlier. She clamped one end around his ankle, then lifted a table at the end of the room and lashed the other side of the chain there. Plucking the knife back out of the wall, Lizzie cut through John's bonds with troubling speed, smiling all the while. See, you don't have to be tied up. Here, use this table. I'll bring you whatever you need. Lizzie swept all the objects from the table like they were so much trash, then frowned down at the empty space. But you didn't bring your books because of the date. Is there anything you want me to bring for you? He stared at her, still not entirely sure how to deal with this change. Licking his lips, John spoke before he could fully think through his words. Can I have some water? Ah, of course. Yes, water. And you slept a long time. You'll probably be hungry soon. Just wait here. While she was gone, he did his best to rub some feeling back into his rest and look around the room. The chain attaching to him to the table leg was fairly long. He thought he could reach most of the basement except the far end of the door at the top of the stairs. Not that he could try anything, when she was nearby and could return at any moment. He did try to lift the table, though, see if he could slip the chain out of under the table leg, and couldn't even budge it. What the hell? Was there some trick to it, or was she just that strong? John had thought it might have been his imagination, or she was just fueled by passion, but to move the tables as easily as she did, that shouldn't have even been possible. There wasn't time for anything else before Lizzie returned, bearing kitchen supplies. Just wait a moment. I'll make you something, and we can be together while I make it. Isn't that wonderful? Not waiting for an answer, she laid out her ingredients one side of the table, then set up a chopping board. She began reducing vegetables to little chunks with terrifying ease, knife a silver blur in her hands. I know just what I want to cook today, but you can ask for whatever you want later, okay? I'll make you anything you like. Thank you. This is all I want, John. A peaceful life at home. You can stay inside, ignore everyone who wants to hurt you. I'll keep you safe, bring you whatever you need, take good care of you. And never go outside? Of course you could go outside, if you wanted to, but right now, I'm just afraid. Her movements became more erratic and John saw several chips of wood fly away from the cutting board. Lizzie was still smiling sweetly. Don't you want that too? To be able to stay inside on bad days and ignore the world? That did sound good to him, but when he shifted his legs, he heard the chain clanking along the floor, and whatever he had been meaning to say evaporated out of his mind. As absurd as it was, the day continued almost normally. Lizzie made him an elaborate meal, and they ended up chatting over it as if everything was normal. It felt wrong to do so, but he worried that doing anything else would just antagonize her. Did she really think this would work in the end? Honestly, he had no idea, and did she really need to do so much cutting for every single dish? When they finished and chatted for a while, Lizzie abruptly hopped back on her feet. Okay, just a moment, John. I'm going to go to get your books, okay? I don't want you to be angry with me or making you fall behind on your homework. Is there anything you want me to get you from your house? Well, just let me know if you need anything, alright? She skipped away and he heard the door above him close. He wondered if it could be a trick somehow, but after enough silence passed, he felt reasonably certain that he had actually gone to his house. Though she could have taken his key, he saw it still resting on the far table with the other things he had been carrying. Had she made a copy at some point? Or could she just pick the lock? Neither possibility was exactly comforting, but he didn't have time for that. John got to his feet, stretched, and considered his options. Okay guys, we got options here again. Try to remove the chain, look for weapons, look for tools, make something for Lizzie, or don't try anything. What should we do? I should probably decide for myself, but, you know, I think it'd be kind of interesting to allow you guys to choose something. I mean, if you think about this logically, what is he going to use to remove the chain, to be exact? Make. 2 people say it's make. Someone says look for weapons. Make something for the waifu Yandere. Everyone keeps saying make for Liz. Okay, I guess we can make something for Lizzie. So, are you guys planning on smoothing her your way out or something like that? I don't know. Okay, we're gonna make something for Lizzie then. Deciding his best bet was to try to encourage Lizzie's good nature. John set to working with the kitchen supplies she'd left nearby him. His options without a stove were limited, but he did his best to make her something that looked like real effort had been put into it. He was no chef, but he thought she would like anything made with his own hands. Strangely, the act of making something for her helped him forget about the fact that he was chained in her basement. The situation might be messed up, but perhaps there was a core of something salvageable. When Lizzie saw his gift, she blushed, then took it away heartily. John blinked, but didn't have time to object. The next time he saw her, though, she was beaming. Though John spent all of his Saturday tense, Lizzie showed no signs of intending to hurt him. The night she brought a mattress and bedding down to the basement and set it up close enough that he could lie down on it. When he woke up on Sunday, he felt strangely normal, still tense. The situation was far from ordinary, but in a strange way he had learned to deal with it. That day passed almost normally. Since Lizzie had bought him his books, he tried to work through his homework, just like he often did on Sunday. Lizzie stayed with him most of the day, working as well. She made meals for the both of them in the basement and upstairs, but she always stayed close. He hoped for a chance to evaluate his options more, but never spotted one since she was always leaning in to smile at him from the stairway. The one useful thing he learned was that the basement door was apparently unlocked except for at night. If he could somehow get unchained from the table, he had a shot at getting out. When Monday dawned, he crashed almost immediately and didn't even get out of bed. That was common for vacations when he didn't have friends to distract him, since all he could do was swallow in himself. It felt worse than usual. His world wasn't just gray. His depression was filled with flecks of anger and confusion. Only then did he realize that he hadn't taken any medication since Friday morning. When Lizzie entered that morning, she immediately saw how badly he was doing and rushed to the mattress. At first, fussing with his sheets before realizing the problem went deeper than that. John, what's wrong? Other than you keeping me here? No, I'm sorry. No. If I let you go, you'll just hate me. It will ruin everything. Then, at least bring me my Paxton. It's the shelf above the sink to the... No. No, I won't bring it to you. I can't. I destroyed it. What? But I need that. You understand how serious my condition is, right? I know. I really do. But you shouldn't take their drugs. Not theirs. But... you were taking something before Paxton, right? Tell me what it was. I'll go get some for you. I want you to be better, John. But I won't let you take anything from Koitek. Let's see. Refuse to tell her. Lie about old medication. Request old medication. Should we lie? Should we tell the truth? Or should we just be like, bitch, please? Refuse to tell her. We got someone saying refuse to tell her. Request. Ask her for medications. We got 2 people asking for refuse. Okay, I guess we're gonna go with refuse to tell her. No. Paxine is all that gets me through the day. I need it. John? She stayed away from him the entire day, but he could hear her moving around above him. It sounded like she was pacing, except her footsteps were too random and uneven. When she brought him food, she smiled, but her eyes were hard. John tried to beg her, but she refused to answer. What the hell was with her paranoia? Did she hate Koitek because of her mother? He had no answers, and Lizzie left him alone. Without her to distract him, he only slid deeper into depression. After lunch on Tuesday, Lizzie started carrying electronics down the stairs. He blinked in confusion until she brought down the TV and started hooking everything together. Or at least attempting to. After a moment, she sighed and looked at him sheepishly. Do you know how this works? I can try to get it figured out. He got up and did his best to help. She had a pretty nice VCR, leading him to wonder why she had it and didn't know how to put it together. It wasn't like someone else would have bought it for her. Do you not use this much? Never. I don't really watch television. Like, at all? No. She had seemed weirdly apathetic about a lot of things, but he thought she just wasn't into pop culture. Yet now, something in her voice made him suspect it was something else entirely. What about music, then? I don't listen to music. Huh? Really? Well, what about books? Only nonfiction that seems useful. The rest all feels so pointless. What do you do for fun, then? She stared back at him so long, he was afraid she might just ignore the question. Well, sorry I do enjoy a few things now, thanks to you. I spent a lot of time collecting all those knives because I thought they would be useful, but now it's just a little different. Now I can imagine myself protecting you. All the details about grips, edges, they're not just details now, they interest me. So he'd given her an interest in knives. Fantastic. Anyway, I thought maybe I could enjoy a movie if I watch it with you. Is that okay? We might as well try. I've had it all put together for a while. Anyway, we can try it. Lizzie brought a chair and sat beside him as they watched the tape. He was grateful that she at least watched the movie instead of him. It was nothing at all like how watching a film with a girl was supposed to be. According to his friends, Lizzie didn't seem remotely nervous during the scary parts, and to his surprise, didn't seem to care about the romantic parts. Then again, he didn't think he really would want her to react that way. It definitely wouldn't feel like who she was. Personally, he couldn't get into the movie at all. The grayness of everything around him drained all the satisfaction from the activity. When it finally ended, Lizzie gave him a small smile that he thought represented authentic satisfaction. Then she immediately turned to him. We should watch something together again, but I think I'd rather make our own movie. Wait, what? His mind immediately flashed to making porn together, and he had to force the thought away. What kind of movie? I would like to just film you, here, working, or eating, or anything. I could watch it later. Oh, really? Wouldn't that be boring? No, watching you could never be boring. Oh, this is such a good idea. I'll go buy one of those video recorders and... Not to cut you off, but wouldn't that be incriminating evidence? Huh? Fuck, what was he saying? Well, too late to go back now. I mean, it's not legal to hold someone like this, and your basement looks kind of suspicious. You wouldn't want someone to find it later. Aw, you care. Yeah, way to go, dumbass. You shouldn't have said that. Lizzie embraced him carefully, and despite himself, John felt a flicker of joy. When she was happy, she seemed so purely happy. You're right, of course. And I'm so glad you're thinking about keeping me safe, even if I want to be even though I want to be the other way around. John is so kind. But maybe later we can make our own movies, okay? Okay? Yeah, maybe. Why the hell had he just done that? Having a tape of her behavior would have been the perfect way to get the police to take him seriously if he managed to escape. But as soon as he had that thought, John regretted it. He didn't want to see Lizzie hurt and hated the idea of her going to prison, despite what she was doing to him. Despite the situation, he still thought of her as a sweet girl who wasn't entirely well. She deserved help, not punishment. Was this Stockholm Syndrome? Was she wearing him down, just like she'd planned to? The idea disturbed him, but it didn't change how he felt. He needed to find another way. On Wednesday, Lizzie wanted to watch another movie, but John suggested that might be too many. Instead they passed the day quietly, working and chatting and ignoring the fact that he was chained to the table. Though he was feeling even more depressed than before, John had enough perspective to realize that they wouldn't make progress like this. He needed to shift things somehow. But what should he say? Try to leverage the last friendly days into letting him go? Just try to make her relax more? Or convince her that he wouldn't leave her? So, Lizzie? Let's see. Start a conversation about her interest. Start a conversation about romance. Start a conversation about her peers. Start a conversation about morality. Right now, morality seems to be a little bit more tempting. Considering that she's a psycho, you know? So, people keep saying romance for some reason. I don't know, guys. Everyone keeps saying romance. Get laid top priority. I'm sure. Okay, I guess we can go with romance. You know, earlier you said that you didn't do much for fun before, but I'm not sure that's true. You seem to have spent an awful lot of time imagining us being together, dates and everything else. Yes. I've dreamed so many times of our first everything. But not just for our first. The second times will be wonderful too, and we'll just get closer and closer together until no one can take us apart. I don't think I've ever heard you mention marriage though. Oh, of course I want to get married, but I didn't want to mention it because I've read that it can scare away boys. But, oh yes, I've imagined it so much. We should use one of those old cathedrals, and I can wear a beautiful white dress. The pictures. We'll have a perfect picture of us on our wedding day that we can keep forever and ever. Who are you imagining attending this wedding? Does there need to be anyone else? I'm pretty sure you need at least one person there to do an actual marrying, or it doesn't count legally. Oh, yes. I suppose we do need to have that person, and someone to take the picture, or take the photos. And it's okay if you want to invite people from your family, I guess. I don't really care about them. Honestly, no. I'm not sure I have anyone who would come. Aw, John, don't feel bad. I don't have any family members to attend either. We'll make our own family, won't we? We won't need to care about anyone else. For the rest of the day, Lizzie was floating on a cloud of positive emotions. When she gazed at him adoringly, John found himself smiling back. He woke up in a foul mood, half depressed and half angry. Lizzie was watching him with a concerned look on her face. Are you sure I can't bring you medicine, John? If you're not going to bring me Paxine, then there's no point. That displeased her, and he really didn't want to go down that road, so John cast about for a topic to distract her. That reminds me, I've been meaning to ask. You ran out of Nihilzyme, right? I haven't taken it for days. I destroyed the rest of it the day before our date. You destroyed it? Why? It was useful. It helped me understand, but I wasn't myself while I was taking it. I wish you'd consider taking medication. We can't handle everything ourselves. Sometimes we need help. You don't understand. It's not that simple. Then explain it to me. I wasn't myself. It was like someone I had imprisoned me and took my place. Imagine if your own medication meant that you could never feel sad again. Just constant, manic happiness. That does sound horrible. I'm sorry if I made you take it. Don't say that. It was useful. Having things to be different for a while made it easier to see how everything fits together. But I couldn't take any longer than that. I wanted to be myself again. Koitek doesn't want to help people, John. They want to control them. Are you just saying that metaphorically? Or do you actually know something about them? No. No? Abby was an addict because of them. I never cared about her, but I saw that Koitek drugs did to her. They didn't change who she was. She was always horrible. The drugs just made her identity obvious. Not like you, John. You're still so kind, even though you were taking that drug. But they won't be satisfied with that. Are you seriously saying Koitek is some kind of conspiracy? Conspiracy? No, I don't think so. They just want money, and they're willing to cut corners to make it. I don't care what they do to anyone else, but you needed to stop taking that drug. You need to see clearly. He almost wanted to believe her. Koitek was a huge company, and those weren't exactly known for their ethics. It was plausible that they had been testing some dangerous drugs on Lizzie's mother. It had probably been too dangerous for adults, but had it a magnified impact on developing child. Did Lizzie see that on some level, or was she just paranoid about the company? Sometimes she seems so. And you should stop seeing Miss Smith. She's trying to steal you away. I'm sure of it. Lizzie, don't be ridiculous. She's 10 years older than me. And the school counselor. I can't trust her. You can't. You shouldn't. Calm down. No one's going to steal me away. She stared at me. She stared at him as if she was desperately wanting to believe his words. A moment later, she gave an odd little half shrug. I came in to say I need to run some errands today, so I'll have to leave you alone, okay, John? Yeah, sure. She left the room and John knew he had a rare opportunity, but he found himself sitting and thinking. Could there be any validity to what she said? These days it took all the energy he had just to interact with Lizzie. He was declining, and declining fast. Regardless, for now he needed to take some stock off his options and take some kind of action. Well, he had the opportunity and energy for it. He felt like he had spent too much time thinking to make an escape attempt, but maybe he could accomplish something else. Look for weapons, look for tools, make something for Lizzie, don't try anything. Last time you guys were saying look for weapons, so let's try look for weapons, guys. His table had been placed fairly far from the weapons lining the walls, and no amount of straining could get him close enough. But after a few unsuccessful tries, John realized that he might be able to push the table even if he couldn't lift it. Though more difficult than he expected, by bracing himself on the floor and throwing his whole body onto it, he could nudge the table a little at a time. After a while, that got him close enough to reach the weapons. He didn't dare take any of one's placed carefully on the walls, but there was a number of rusty knives lying unused. One of them was slim enough that he could hide it in his pocket. It might not do a lot of good, but he felt better having something that to defend himself. A moment later, he was overwhelmed with a sense of dread that Lizzie would return to see the table moved. He set to work pushing it back into place. Though it was even harder to push it the other way, he managed to return it exactly to its former position. John slumped down into the chair and let his heart calm down. Oh god, my throat is kind of dry right now. Hold on a sec. Okay. An uncomfortably short amount of time later, he had her Lizzie return to the floor above. He sat calmly and tried to pretend he didn't have a knife in his pocket. On Friday, John woke up, stretched, yawned, and scratched at the shackle on his leg, and he got up to brush his teeth. It was only while brushing his teeth and staring at the walls of knives that he realized how normal this bizarre situation had become. 1 week ago, Lizzie had been asking him out on a date, and they would have gone out like a normal couple. It felt like a lifetime ago. God, I can't talk right now. When he heard the basement door open, he didn't even glance up. He knew it would just be Lizzie again. He just rinsed out his mouth and set his toothbrush aside. Good morning. Can you believe it's been a week already? I was just thinking that, actually. Hasn't it been wonderful? We've been together every single day. Ah, it's bliss. You know, we haven't done anything like that we couldn't have done without the kidnapping. But that's the point. She skipped and past him to the wall of knives. Lizzie held her arms behind her back as she examined them eagerly. Oh snap, she knows what's up. When we were together at school, part of me was afraid we were both pretending. Even when we were alone, I wasn't myself. Lizzie chose one knife from the wall, caressing the edge slowly before taking it up. She turned to him, eyes unnaturally bright. A normal boy couldn't have done all these ordinary things with me after seeing the truth. You're saying I'm not normal? And I wouldn't want you to be. She came closer, knife swaying back and forth as her gaze remained fixated on him. She was close now. Close enough that she could have kissed him or stabbed him. I want you to learn that you shouldn't be afraid of me. You know I would never pick up a knife to hurt you, right? I wanted an answer. Oh snap, guys. We got the thing where we can kiss her now. We can disagree, agree, or kiss her. I'm pretty sure everyone's gonna be like, oh, kiss her, kiss her, kiss her, and stuff like that. Yeah, everyone keeps saying kiss her. Yeah. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Okay, guys, I guess we're gonna kiss her. Instead of answering a question that might not have any good answer, John leaned forward and kissed Lizzie gently. She gave a surprised gasp, kissed back for a moment, then suddenly pulled back. John, why did you kiss me? Isn't that what you want? Yes, it's exactly what I want. You've been giving me exactly what I want. This isn't right. I've ruined it. I've ruined everything. Lizzie, what are you talking about? You thought you needed to manipulate me, didn't you? Play with my feelings so I wouldn't hurt you. This is all my fault. I drove you to this. Lizzie rushed out of the room and slammed the door behind her. When she returned later that in the day, she pretended like the kiss never had happened. John did the same, but he couldn't help but feel like something was different. On Saturday, Lizzie announced that she wanted to make a huge meal for the both of them on the last day. She asked what she wanted to eat, then headed out for a shopping trip. As soon as he was sure she was actually gone, John got up and took a deep breath. He didn't have much time left before the vacation was over, but what did he want to do? Try to remove the chain, look for tools, or don't try anything? Should we be safe and just stand here until she comes back? Should we try to look for tools, or should we try to remove the chain and escape? This could be the moment of truth, actually, so I don't know, guys. We got two people asking for tools. Look for tools. For the tools. Okay, two people ask. Yep, everyone says look for tools. Okay, we're gonna look for tools. His table had been placed to be able to reach out of the weapon lining one wall, but that put him close to the other wall. John managed to get around the table to it and began examining them. There was a metal cupboard that appeared to be locked, but he looked through the rest. There was a toolbox that he thought was locked at first, but eventually he realized was only stuck. After enough effort, he put it open and looked through. Most of it was random aging tools, but he found a screwdriver that looked to be in a good shape. Could he use this to escape? He saw several possibilities, but at that moment, he heard Lizzie returned. It was too late. Everything was in its place, including his slump down in the chair. He could only hope that he had done enough. He waited in silence while Lizzie went about upstairs, putting away what she had brought. Eventually, he heard the door open and she skipped down the stairs with a smile. John, how are you? I'm going to let you go tomorrow. Really? You aren't worried I'll tell someone? I am. If you told someone, it would hurt me so much. But I can't hold you here forever. I want to keep you here forever, but I want you to choose to stay with me even more. That would be the best. I see. You're not happy. After all this, do you really expect my emotions to be simple? Do you hate me? No, I don't think so. That is good, but I want more than that. I know, but you're going to have to wait. You can't rush a relationship by forcing it. I know. Next time, you can choose when to ask me out, okay? Okay. His remaining time in the basement passed easily, almost casually. They didn't speak much about what was coming, and especially not about what had happened. They watched 2 more movies, chatted about simple things, finished up their last vacation homework. And on Sunday, Lizzie appeared in silence and locked the chain that kept him bound to the table. He stared at her and wished he could find something to say, but his mouth was too dry to speak. She opened her hand, palm up, and pointed at his pocket. John realized that she had known and winced. He removed the knife slowly and handed it to her, and she said nothing. That made things even more awkward, but he couldn't think of anything else to say to make it even slightly easier. Eventually he left. He thought he might have seen a glimmer of tears in her eyes, but it might have been in his imagination. The entire ride back, he tried to think about his experiences, but couldn't even begin to grasp everything that had happened. When John got home, he found the door undamaged. The entire house didn't look so different, as if it hadn't been abandoned for 9 days. There as only a single message on the answering machine. His father saying that he was going on a company vacation. He hadn't even noticed that John was gone. None of his friends had called. He had been taken out of the world, and no one even noticed. The only person who had cared was Lizzie, but she wasn't there with him now, and there were still too many emotions to sort out with her. John sat down on the couch and simply felt numb. He fell asleep there, and an uncertain amount of time later, he slept and did not dream. In the morning, John felt like he had been scraped raw. It was uncomfortable, but better than carrying baggage. Would having his meds help, or just make things worse? It was impossible to know for now, but he wanted to find out. When he went to school, he would have to ask Miss Smith her opinion, because despite the absurdity of it all, they were still going to have to go to school. Lizzie wasn't waiting for him outside the house, which was probably a good thing, he decided. The walk to school in the crisp air gave him time to focus. Not that he reached any profound conclusions, but by the time he reached school, he at least felt reasonably okay. He didn't spot Lizzie at all, but when he reached his locker, he saw that a note had been jammed in his slits. It said, "Good morning, John," surrounded by hearts. Despite himself, John smiled a little when he looked up and saw Lizzie around a nearby corner, and she smiled back before vanishing. Still, he felt silly for having the new lock on his locker. Obviously, that hadn't been remotely enough to stop her. He drifted through several classes. Today he wasn't too different from the other students, since they were all back from vacation and unfocused. None of the teachers tried to make them to do very much. After school, he headed to Miss Smith's office, not entirely sure what he was going to say. After so long away, however, he definitely felt like he could use some counseling. "Oh, John, I hope you had a good vacation." "It was okay. You?" "Spent the entire time working, I'm afraid. I actually tried to call you, but it seems you weren't home." "Yeah, I was busy. Sorry." "Oh, it's fine. I just hope you haven't lost any of our progress. Why don't you lie down and we can get started right away?" He got onto the couch, but things didn't go as smoothly as usual. Miss Smith was doing her best, but he just couldn't concentrate. It didn't take a genius to know the reason. He needed to decide exactly what he was going to do. If he wanted protection from the police, this would be his best chance to ask for it secretly. Or even if he skipped some details, Miss Smith might be able to provide some kind of help. Or maybe he shouldn't tell her anything. It had all worked out for the best, hadn't it? "Something on your mind, John?" Oh snap. I think this is like the moment of truth right here, guys. Whether Lizzie goes to jail, or we, I don't know, decide to do nothing, maybe. Tell her the truth, ask for more Paxton, hint you're worried about Lizzie, or lie about everything. Tell her the truth. Interesting. One person says lie. Two people says lies. It's 3-2. All right, I guess we're gonna lie about it to see what happens. I don't know. This vacation was weird. I felt okay. Not great, but okay. Were you able to take a trip with your family? A change of scene might have done you some good. Nah, we didn't do anything, but I guess a few things could have changed for me lately. Maybe you're right. Apparently, Miss Smith thought he was doing better because she ended their session early and let him go home. On his way out, he spotted Lizzie watching him from the shadows. He smiled at her and she smiled back, but that was all. And for now, that was enough. John started walking. The school year got away from him a little. Despite everything he had been through, John found himself returning to something like a routine. He spent some time with Lizzie, but didn't do anything too intense. Just shorter, fun dates, nothing too romantic. The sky still looked very gray to him, but he felt lighter than he had in a long time. On occasion, he still headed to the library to try to look up more about Koitek, see if he could figure out more about Lizzie's condition. It wasn't going terribly well. All he had to do is go on an old microfilm and random ideas, which was part of why he brought Lizzie, but she seemed uninterested. Eventually, he sat back down and tapped his fingers on the desk, wondering if it was worth continuing. Lizzie, when I was, at your house, you made me some pretty strange statements about Koitek. Do you know anything about them?
No, I'm sorry, John. I can't really help you. It's just a feeling, a strong feeling. Not as strong as the sense that you were the one I was looking for. But I'm certain they don't want what's best.
Sure, but does any corporation?
This is different.
After that, though, she couldn't explain herself any further. Seeing she didn't like the topic of conversation, John decided to let it go. It's not like we can learn anything meaningful about them. I mean, we're just a couple of kids. It's not like their secrets will be printed in the local paper. Well, we can leave it. We have more immediate concerns, don't we?
Yes, actually, I had something I've been wanting to ask. The country fair's coming up next month. Can we go together?
Well, I've always thought it was kind of a cheap event, but maybe it wouldn't be so bad with you.
Yay! I look forward to it.
It was only later that John remembered something some of his classmates had said. Elementary schoolers went to the fair to play games. Middle schoolers went there for roller coasters. And high schoolers went there to get laid. Was that what Lizzie had been meaning to imply? Had he just signed up for more than he realized? But over the next several days, she didn't act any differently, and just seemed to look forward to with innocent anticipation. So it felt awkward to bring it up, and the longer he just didn't mention it, the stranger it got. And so day by day, they eventually reached the date of the country fair. Lizzie met him at the edge of the fair, shifting from foot to foot eagerly. Her face lit up when she saw him, and she immediately hurried to meet him.
Oh, you're finally here. This is going to be so much fun.
I'm glad to spend time with you, but honestly, I haven't gone to the fair in a few years.
Oh, I'm sure we'll have fun. Besides, the important thing is that people will see us together.
What?
Dating doesn't really count unless a guy is willing to go to the fair with you. Guys don't talk like that.
No, but I'm happy to be seen with you.
Yay, let's go to see what they have.
For a while, they just wandered, checking out all the attractions. Since the fair was all getting started up, it was easy to grab some food and cotton candy, which Lizzie happily fed him pieces of while they walked. Thinking about what being there together meant for her, John realized that he didn't mind. After everything they had been through, boyfriend and girlfriend felt like cheap words. He felt like the hardest stretch had to be behind them. He'd seen Lizzie at her worst. He would be happy to be with her at her best.
Oh, is that a knife throwing booth? But we don't have to visit. Come on, let's go this way.
Instead, Lizzie directed them toward a high striker booth. John kind of marveled at it. He'd seen them in pictures, but he hadn't been sure that they actually existed anymore.
Some classmates he barely recognized were trying their luck at the moment, swinging the hammer high overhead and bringing it down onto the target as hard as they could. None of them got the slider more than halfway to the bell. John, try it. Man, is there even any point? I'm going to suck. Oh, but try. Going in, he inserted his coin. Just lifting the hammer felt almost too heavy for him, but Lizzie was watching and so he couldn't give up. John brought the hammer down as best as he could. It felt like a strong blow, but the slider barely moved up a quarter of a distance. Some of his watching classmates laughed. See, I'm pathetic. No, you just haven't learned how to use your strength. Here, let me help you. She slid up behind him. Crap, I'm losing my voice. Wrapping her arms around his and changing his grip on the hammer. With her body so close against his, the watching classmates stopped laughing. See, you need to throw your body into it. So set your feet like this. Shift your hips a little. He felt a little like a doll, being moved by her like that. But the post she put him into did feel better. More of his body would be behind the swing now. Good, good. Now try again. She backed away and John took a deep breath. If he sucked again, he was going to feel absolutely worthless. But no, he couldn't let himself think that. Instead, he brought the hammer down as hard as he could. To his surprise, he actually made it most of the way up. It didn't ring the bell, but it was better than he'd seen anyone else do. See? Good job! She seemed absolutely elated, even just with his mildly improved performance. But despite himself, John found that his mood was improved. They walked away together, ignoring the watchers entirely. I'm surprised you know so much about this kind of thing. Oh, hammers are interesting. They're just very, very messy. Oh, that's not a good indication. I should have known better than to ask. There was a moment of hesitation in her eyes, but she saw his smile and then returned it. At another booth, Lizzie managed to toss every single ring into the furthest pin. That won her a giant stuffed bear, which she just laughed at and gave it to him to hold. For a while, he was having a great time, but then, still carrying the bear, he heard an unpleasant sneaker.
Are you fucking serious? You two came here to play around with stuffed animals?
One of his classmates was there with his girlfriend, pawing at her chest while she giggled and swatted at his hands. They both leered at John and Lizzie's holding hands.
I mean, what are you, 12?
Once, taunts might have bothered him, but now, John didn't care. He didn't even have any desire to prove that his friend was wrong. How can you even consider that his friend? Jesus Christ, dude. He's an asshole. When he thought about everything he had been through with Lizzie and felt her squeeze in his hand, he just didn't care. Come on, let's ditch these losers. His classmate's girlfriend led them away, and John didn't really care about that earlier. When he gave Lizzie a smile, though, she smiled a little irked. You can just ignore them, you know. Yes, but that won't be satisfying. Come on, this way. She dragged him into a narrow alleyway between the two stalls. A little ways down, there was a closed-off space between several of the temporary stalls. Surrounded on three sides, the sounds of affair seemed softer. He became very aware how alone they were as Lizzie slid. Oh, well shit. Okay, I think we're gonna stop here. I'm gonna save. Okay guys, thanks for watching. It was a blast. Stay tuned for the next stream. Maybe, I don't know. I'm gonna have to like inspect this scene later on my own time, and then go back and just reread it if it's not too bad, but you know. But yeah, thanks for watching guys. This is pretty much it for the stream. It's already been like an hour and 30 minutes, so yeah. Tomorrow I'm gonna be doing movie night, so if you guys want to go check that out, I'll be posting a video tomorrow indicating what time and what movie we're gonna be watching on Rabbit, so stay tuned for that.
as well on Friday. It's gonna be, let's see, it's gonna be a vocal cover, and on Saturday there's actually a special video on Saturday, so stay tuned for that too. And Sunday I'll be streaming on Twitch. I haven't decided what game though. So, but yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and hope to see you again next week. Hopefully we'll be able to finish this. So, yeah.